Earlier today, Bethesda Game Studios shadow dropped The Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion Remastered, which you could buy right now for $50 on Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. And yeah, this one's even included with Game Pass. And honestly, it just seems like this will go down as one of the most insane game releases in history. Oblivion Remastered has already shot up to over 100,000 players on Steam, and considering it's a 125GB download, I have to imagine this number is just going to continue to skyrocket as more and more people get in game. Even just over the course of writing the script has risen another 30,000 players. And just for me personally, as somebody who's covered everything Bethesda's done for the last few years, yeah, this is crazy. After years of saying they have no plans to do a remaster or remake, they finally drop one, and it's a freaking shadow drop. This is one of those moments in gaming history where I feel like it's important to just take a step back and appreciate what's happening right now. But okay, with that out of the way, what even is Oblivion Remastered? Now that's actually here, this is a bit of an interesting one. Some stuff is stunning and amazing, while certain other features apparently aren't supported. One of the big questions being what's different here. How is Oblivion Remastered different than the original Oblivion? Because even despite this game being titled Oblivion Remastered, in many ways it feels a lot more like a remake. And really, that's because what you see in this game is somewhat separate from what you're going to feel while playing the game. Nearly all of the visuals in Oblivion Remastered are redone and being handled now by Unreal Engine 5. The work here largely being done by VIrtuos Games, and they described using nearly all of the new features present in Unreal Engine 5 for this remaster. The dual engine thing has been mentioned since the very first leak around this game, so there's been a lot of questions and speculation on how it would work, but now that we actually have Oblivion Remastered in our hands, what many people, and particularly modders, are realizing is a lot of this actual game is still Oblivion. It's still Gamebryo Oblivion. And for you, that's generally good news, because while this game looks stunning, it still features that fan-loved Oblivion jank. On the visual side, this will almost feel like a completely new game. They made it clear that all of the models, textures, environments, lighting, basically everything you can see with your eyes while you're playing this game was remade for the remaster. Yeah, things look stunning in all of these environments because basically everything was redone. Like, even just the main menu is worth taking a pause at because of how amazing it looks. And some of these are going to be completely new details added into the game for the first time. So now you can see things like insects flying around, or even fish swimming around, or hey, how about Oblivion Gate showing you what is through the gate now? These are things that just weren't in Oblivion originally, but were added for the remaster. And while that all does sound great on paper, actually playing this one is freaking gorgeous. All of the character faces were redone here, as well as some new lip sync tech was added in to facilitate this. So when you actually go up to talk to someone, it's this interesting hybrid.
The signs I read show the end of my path. My death, a necessary end, will come when it will come. Your stars.
You can still obviously tell it's fundamentally an older game. You could see the Oblivion influence, but everything looks insanely good. Dialogue itself looks phenomenal with character faces all having been redone. And this will extend to some of the environments as well. This is definitely one of those games where you're going to be exploring around and just stop to smell the roses from time to time because of how good it looks. A bunch of the audio was also improved and upgraded. Every race now has distinct dialogue recorded for them, so they're all going to sound different, and even smaller details, like audio adaptation to the environment, was implemented here.
Yes, I understand the Fighters Guild is hiring new members. Not bad work for some folks. Go on. That Honditar sure knows his way around this area.
Bethesda even described during the reveal stream that they kept some of the original Oblivion jank in-game, so it does add to the Oblivion charm as you're playing. I've only played a few hours so far, but this does really enhance the experience in my opinion. It feels like you're playing a gorgeous remake of an older game, as opposed to playing a modern game where everything flows seamlessly. I know that probably sounds weird, so hopefully some of the gameplay and video is doing the heavy lifting here, but it's almost like this game having that level of jank, of having the kind of quirky interactions from time to time, makes me enjoy and appreciate it more. It feels a lot like Oblivion. And there are even going to be some new visual options and upgrades included with this one, so you have things like ray tracing, frame generation via DLSS or FSR, and NVIDIA Reflex. But conversely, on the gameplay side, so much of this still is Oblivion, and I think this is why it's called Oblivion Remastered. I think a lot of people are getting hung up and confused on that. The game visually looks completely different, but a lot of the gameplay, a lot of the actual functions and systems are very similar or identical to Oblivion. There are further visual changes on the gameplay side, so the entire UI and even many of the animations for both you and enemies were redone. But beyond that, it's fairly familiar. Leveling up was changed, so now it's going to be a bit more similar to Skyrim. You'll allocate points to 3 attributes specifically here, so it'll make things a bit more predictable and easy to follow. Oblivion's original leveling system was a lot more complicated. You can now sprint in Oblivion. This is just not there in the original game, like a lot of those older Bethesda games. But of course, now it is, and it feels really good. Combat overall has some more sounds and even some additional visual effects, along with proper hit reactions. But otherwise, the combat here feels old, and again, I think that's a good thing. You won't be mistaking the Oblivion Remastered combat for any modern games. And some aspects of third-person view were upgraded, but that was really it on the gameplay side. A lot of this game, a lot of the actual interactions you have in-game are identical to the original, to the point where you could even use some of those original guides. At one point I was solving a puzzle and I found a guide from the original Oblivion release, and yeah, it still followed and worked here. But that also means some of the downsides of the original. Even in just a couple of hours, I got stuck in a trap and ended up having to load an earlier save to progress. Lots of the world is fairly desolate. We've seen other projects like Oblivion flesh things out a bit more, but so far here, the world space seems quite similar. I saw some saying that loading screens were gone or way shorter, which is not at all true in my experience. Load screens are here, and especially when going to the overworld, they are fairly lengthy. This is footage on a very high-end PC, and even more specifically here on an NVMe drive. But one of the other big questions was, what about mods? There's been a lot of speculation and debate about what will be possible around modding, and even today, it's been a bit of a roller coaster. Initially, this article went up on Bethesda's support website that described mods as not supported in the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered. And even during the stream and in-game, there's no mods menu, creations, those paid mods for Skyrim and Starfield, they're definitely not in this one. But as a result of a lot of this game basically just being Gamebryo Oblivion with an Unreal Engine 5 skin on top, that means you can mod it just like you could Gamebryo Oblivion. It's still early and people are still figuring things out, but on paper, modders should be able to edit things just like they could with older Elder Scrolls titles. It'll likely take some time to build out some of the new tools, as now there's this kind of new combination going on from Unreal Engine 5, so it's combining files in a new way, but we're still using things like ESMs and BSAs. Bethesda modding familiars will know a lot of the stuff. So at least as of right now, it does seem like Oblivion Remastered can have a healthy and active modding scene, and we've already started to see some of these mods come out, which if you're interested in these, get subscribed. I'm going to be covering many of these early mods in a day or two. And honestly, with how well this release appears to be going so far, I could see this being a bit of a turning point for Bethesda, potentially even gaming overall. Oblivion Remastered is basically going viral right now. The whole shadow drop strategy seems to have gone seriously well, even despite some of those initial leaks beforehand. I have to imagine other companies are paying very close attention to this. Partly because of the power it gives Bethesda. Like, yeah, we saw a bunch of leaks around Oblivion, but when it actually came to the reveal, to Bethesda getting the message out around this game, they had hundreds of thousands of people going directly to their stream to find out what was true, what wasn't true, and to find out if this game was coming out today. That's a lot of eyeballs and a lot of power to go direct to that developer's source. And even beyond all of that, it feels like the fans themselves are loving the shadow drop. I've seen numerous people say today this has been one of their favorite game releases ever, and how every game should release like this. So yeah, definitely pay attention. I have to imagine we're going to see other game companies attempt to use a similar strategy, and I wouldn't be surprised if Bethesda revisits this one. I mean, imagine we had the Oblivion drop without any leaks ahead of time. But also, completely unrelated, this is also Bethesda's first proper remaster ever. It's a weird one in that they basically are using Gamebryo as a backend, but with how well made and received this game is thus far, it seems like a complete win. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see more remasters come soon using the same method from Bethesda. Next up on the roadmap is a Fallout 3 remaster, and if they can drop that around Season 3 of the Fallout TV show, I think it'd be an even bigger hit than Oblivion is right now. Over the next several weeks, it'll be interesting to see how things evolve and continue with this game, and if you do want to keep up to date with all of that, get subscribed, because I will have a ton of content coming, but at least today on day one, it really looks like Bethesda have something truly special on their hands.